When I'm involved in brawls, I start glowing. Your broads are like where you're going. What you're holding ain't the cards showing. What's the Brouhaha? What's the Brouhaha? I gotta go, stop your moaning. Gotta push up more weight than Hogan. Don't stop till I'm on late with Conan. What's the Brouhaha?
Welcome to another exciting adventure of What's the Brouhaha? Let's get into this next installment of Akaash's wife's blood journey. Bloody meanderings. And let's see what it's all about.
My wife also hadn't had any sexual partners, so that helped us connect a lot more.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe her?
If you've seen her, then it's hard to believe.
If your man is weird about periods, that's a red flag. Break up with him immediately, no pun intended, because when I was in college, I dated this guy. You know, he didn't want to fool around when I was on like the heaviest days of my period. Okay, totally.
So he didn't want to fool around when I was on the heaviest day of her period.
Oh,
Tristan, what does that mean he wanted to do when she wasn't on the heaviest days of her period?
It means he wanted to f her. That's what it meant.
Exhibit C, Your Honor.
Like, have fun tonight, blah, blah. And he was going down on me. Like, wouldn't you know it, I was still spotting. And also,
Yo.
like poking around down there, like more blood can sometimes come out even if your period is over. And I swear to God, like I thought my period was done. He like looked at me with so much disgust. And I'll never forget that moment. Like I felt so ashamed and so dirty. And like, he was like, how could you do this to me? And all this stuff, ruined the night and like whatever. And he was my boyfriend at the time. I was just like so depressed. I went home and like, I called my sister and I was like, I have to tell you something.
How do you have a boyfriend and you're selling that you've never had sexual activity, and a boyfriend in college, no less, where no one can see you? There's no town, there's no fathers, there's no his father, there's no her father, there's no fathers, there's no community. So how does a man trust this? How do you trust an individual chick where she's just coming out of nowhere? She's coming out of nowhere. He told the story about how he met her at the club. He saw her fat ass and he met her at the club. A lot of guys have this tunnel vision where you think you're the main character and you think you're the only one that's seeing her and her physicality, her fat ass, her physicality. And you're not the only one. She's outside. She's an outside chick. And so this idea that you have to get to her first somehow, or that you need to intercept and things like that, that is not a wife. That's not your wife. She'll never be your wife. You can enjoy the hunt and you can enjoy the pursuit and shooting your shot, and you can enjoy all of that. But you should understand that because of that same scenario, because of that same positioning by you and by her, like she's outside and you're outside, you're a man, she's a female. So other guys are looking at her and pursuing her also. And that's what she's talking about. Her whole podcast, and most women's podcasts, especially when they dive into relationships, etc., is going to be thottery. It's going to be just her being outside. They're outside chicks. The only thing they have to talk about is the guys pursuing them and their episodes with those guys. That's all they are going to ever have to talk about. So there's no scenario where that turns into your loving wife or the wife that you can trust and that you can have kids with. None of this will ever lead to that, regardless of her personality or regardless if she's in the spectrum of a good girl or a bad girl personality wise. But she in particular, from what I've seen, she doesn't have a good personality. I know there's this thing floating around out there where this is all an act, this is all just a shtick. Even then, when you are committed to a chick, when not just when you're messing with her and she's doing her own thing, but when you're committed to a chick, you don't want her to be a chick that's on anything public, social media, outside, etc. You want her to be family oriented logistically, daily, every day. She's with her family before and during your marriage. if that was the case, he wouldn't be out here having to do damage control. And I'm going to have another post where I dive into the flagrant crew doing damage control, because I saw some of that footage already. So, but back to this, she's not a virgin. Even he will admit, and even they will admit, that he met her outside. She was running around. She went to one of his shows and he saw her, and he was physically attracted to her, which is normal, but that doesn't convert into a wife. She's outside. That's the bottom line. So he's in a particular situation. And in his purview, in his mindset, in his outlook on life, he doesn't think he can divorce her. He doesn't think he should walk away from her. He thinks everything is okay. He thinks that this is the norm. This is normal. And I don't see it ending. I don't see it going the way he thinks it's going to go, where things are just going to work out. He just needs to go to more therapy and he'll be just fine. And I think therapy is a waste of time. The name of the game is action. He needs to swap her out with a real lady. And it's unfortunate that he doesn't know, and a lot of guys don't know, what a real lady looks like, what the experience is like with a real lady day to day, where you can actually trust her and she brings you peace, profound peace. Her family brings you profound peace. I understand that he's in the entertainment industry and all attention is good attention, presumably, but he's admitted to seeking therapy and going into therapy. And that's not a bad thing innately, but I would submit that if you took solid actions positionally, that you would need less therapy and you wouldn't need to rely on therapy to get through your day, through life, that you think this is how life is. That's the mistake. And I don't understand why guys don't understand that they can free themselves and live life in this natural way where you don't have to fight day to day in your own home, in your own personal space, in your own square, on your own square, where you're supposed to be safe, you're supposed to be balanced, where things are supposed to be harmonious. You don't have to, it's not normal to have to fight for your square or fight for your normalcy or your regulation, for your balance, for your peace of mind. That is something that family brings you, not designer this or designer that, or trends, or sassy females, or females with big personalities, or just disruption and chaos and garbage. You don't need that. You don't need that. And listen, if you just want something physical, that's okay. I mean, you can debate whether or not it's okay, but it is something that's accessible. It's accessible without dating and without paying. It takes repetition and positioning logistically. If you're in a small town, you need to get to a big city that you can tolerate and look for sources where there's a lot of women passing through that you can engage with. It's a physical game, it's a logistical game, and it's repetition. If you want to fornicate out here, and again, we can debate whether or not fornication is worth pursuing. That's a separate debate. But if you're gonna do it, at least do it right and do it from a position of leverage and safety where you can't be taken advantage of. And lo and behold, women will inevitably respond better when you take care of yourself first as a man, and when you don't get knocked off your square, regardless of her tests or her meanderings and her being testy and angry and lashing out, etc. Regardless of her negative behaviors, you will be able to just continue in your straight line. Continue in your straight line. You have no choice, really. Continue in your straight line, and she either follows you or she doesn't. End of discussion. Whether it's your actual wife or whether it's another outside chick. Let's jump back into this and let's see what else transpires.
Like, this happened to me, and she literally was like, so? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, Jesse, that's so normal. Like, yeah, sometimes you spot. Like, why would he make it such a big deal and like punish you for it?
So going back to what we said before, he talked about when he wanted to fool around when she was on her period. Now, maybe she still is a virgin. I don't know how that works. She's letting the guy go down on her. I don't want to get too gory into the
if
details.
it's anal, it doesn't count, you know? That's the rule.
She does talk about getting digitally entered at some point there. So it doesn't sound to me like she's a virgin. But hey, Your Honor, that's just Exhibit C. I don't know. Let's see if maybe we can find some other stuff going on that has to do with this. Let's see if there's...
Okay, now, just on that, there is this thing going around. Like, listen, women, I'm telling you, man, you're safe if you don't take outside chicks seriously. I'm not going to stop saying that. I'm going to say that a million times. You're safe if you don't take outside chicks seriously. But in diving into outside chick activities and outside chick tactics and sayings and meanderings, this is one of them. Women, outside chicks, everything is gray. Everything is, there's no definition. So if a chick says she's a virgin, it can mean a million things, but in a normal man's perception and understanding, she's not a virgin. She's not a virgin. She is, I've had chicks tell me that a blowjob isn't sex. I've had chicks tell me that a blowjob isn't sex, which is good news on the one end, on the end of no paying, no dating. And if she comes home with you and she hits you off, then so be it. But who wants to be her husband or her boyfriend? You see what I'm saying? So don't position yourself. It's better to go home with dry dick than to position yourself as the payer, the dater, the husband, or the boyfriend, or the father of her kid or her baby daddy, or the guy that she lives with. It's better to position yourself as just the guy who took her home and just had some fun. That's it. Because a blowjob isn't sex. Nothing means anything. Everything is distorted and upside down. Chaos. It's just chaos. So when you're dealing with an outside chick, all you can expect is meanderings, chaos, misdefinitions, redefinitions, just garbage. It's just garbage. But hey, remember, never forget, a man can stick his dick in garbage with a smile on his face. Never forget that. Okay, let's get back into it.
A different video here.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my...
Kristen, does that sound like she was a virgin when she got married? I'm just curious. Maybe she sounds like
a good Indian girl raised in a very conservative family.
Again,
that's what she sounds like.
I'm not telling you guys don't have sex before marriage. What I'm saying is you heard her man clearly say she wasn't having sex before marriage, and this guy was going down on her while she was spotting.
I'm living my best life in these white boy frat houses. I'm active.
Again, I want to explain this to you guys. So that's her co-host on I believe it's called the Main Character Podcast. And she's talking to her co-host about her co-host's husband. His name is Nav. Listen to how she describes Nav, her co-host's husband.
He's trying to have an orgy and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav's dick is like at least 10 inches.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I just have to say this. This is,
bro, Jesus Christ.
I'm calling the divorce attorney. This is divorce attorney shit right here. Like this right here.
James Sexton, where you at, bro? Where you at?
Well, this is unbelievable to me. So again, I don't need direction from anyone else. I don't need someone to tell me how to feel about this. I know that this is inappropriate. So I want to use this as an example because I know what people are going to say when it comes to this. I want to use this as an example. Let's say that Akaash goes up on stage and he says, yo, my best friend's wife, she's fine as shit. I bet her is super tight. It's just like all the white girls I used to before I my wife. My wife's is not as good as theirs. My wife is not as hot as them. How would that come off from that side of the aisle if Akaash had said that about his wife? It's very clear. And then you'll see later on when she does the response video, she says that Akaash says mean things about her. Not really. We looked it up. There's really nothing that even comes close to this. So what I'm saying is you guys probably watch this. This is probably not the first video you've seen on this, but you feel that feeling of just like unease and disgust. And like, for me, I would feel a lack of trust and I would feel like I had lost a sense of loyalty, and I would feel like I couldn't have an honest conversation with my wife ever again if she went on a podcast and did her podcast. She started a podcast of her own volition to do this. She started the podcast with the intent of embarrassing her husband, in part to embarrass her husband.
Yeah, and the thing is, again, these are outside chick issues. This is what happens when you commit to outside chick. You're mispositioned. You're just in a bad position. It's a position issue. It's not a personality issue. It's not a religious issue. It's not any intangible issue that has to do with some surface thing or some inside heart thing or your inside state or your imagination or any of these internal things that no one can see, or any personality behavioral thing that's on the surface or characteristic, wealthy or poor or color or black or white or eye color or whatever it is. This is about positioning as a man and what you accept. And you decided to commit to an outside chick. You decided to commit to an outside chick on multiple levels. She's outside in terms of not just physically being outside. And my thing is, what is she doing when Akaash is at the comedy show or on a podcast or whatever? When he's not home, what is she doing? Who is she with? Is she with family? Doubt it. These videos or these social media posts, her podcast, the videos, etc., all of those things she's doing in her leisure when she's with no family. She's not fulfilled. We're not picking on him or picking on them. They're just examples because they chose to be public. They're out in the public. Once you post something on social media, just like I'm posting now, that's it. It's all fair game. So given that, is perfectly fine to then scrutinize actions and behaviors and what's being said against frameworks and outlooks, and to compare the two and to learn. We need to learn. And I don't see how anyone can witness this or view anything out here and not conclude that physically, if you're a man in this landscape, you can't commit to any chick that you just happen upon outside, where there's no family, there's no fathers brokering anything, there's no family before and during your marriage. From what I understand, they've been married for 10 years or so. And there's no, even children, but even children won't protect you. She could get a nanny, she could get a babysitter and still run around and do a bunch of fuckery and a bunch of shit. So you really have to take into consideration the family element before and during your marriage. And if you can't find that, if you can't find a lady that's with her family undisturbed, meaning she's always with her family every day, all the time. She might be a certain distance from her family in the backyard, in this room, etc. If she goes to France, if she goes on a trip, on vacation, she's with her family. Her family goes with her. That's a safe bet. And that continues during your marriage. It's a logistical game. So during your marriage, you need to orient yourself where you live across the street, on the same property, in the same home maybe, but you need to figure it out. And these are the challenges that you need to figure out, and they're accomplishable challenges. And it's okay if you can't find that. If you don't find a decent family that's willing to be with their daughter during your marriage, or close by, or logistically nearby across the street, where they have a visual on everything. So if there's a strange car parked in your driveway, they'll see it. So that's what you're looking for. That scenario will keep you protected. It's a physical game. It's not a game of anything internal or intangible. So this is what needs to be understood. Let's get back into it and let's see what else transpires.
Part of the issue. And then the other thing is, again, Tristan, who has more to lose in this situation? It's disrespect. Who has more to lose in this situation? Who is the more famous and the greater money getter of the two of them?
Akaash.
So that's why there's a bit of an imbalance here. Like, men should sign prenups for women, but not the other way around. And so she says that. So he, on the other hand, she embarrasses him, and he actually has a lot to lose. As you've seen, he's probably one of the most trending topics on all of Twitter right now because of this whole situation. Let's go back to the videos.
Okay, I have two stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder, and
Okay, so she met this guy on Tinder. Tristan, if she met a guy on Tinder, would that be after she was married to Akaash or before she was married to Akaash? What do you think?
Before. I'm going to go with before.
Okay, so if it was before and Akaash said she was what when he married her?
A virgin.
Here we go.
I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to hook up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my was a little sore. Oh my God. And I remember that he like.
Okay, so let me, again, so she's married to a comedian. I get it. Making a joke about being, I guess she thinks that's funny. I'm like, whatever. She has the right to make whatever joke she wants. But we're going back to the same whole situation again, where she's making this joke. She's talking about another man's penis. She's talking about, possibly being sexually assaulted. She's laughing about it on a show. When she's going to have a discussion with her man, she told her man that she was a virgin, but she's going to hook up on Tinder dates and having guys spend the night.
What kind of porn do you watch when you use a vibrator?
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch porn while using a vibrator. What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
What?
I'm just thinking of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Yeah.
She could never imagine her own husband.
God,
Again, man,
bro. Jesus.
And Akaash, like I know, like right now, I'm telling you that Akaash Singh is probably like very fed up with this. He apparently told his wife, there's another interview they do where he told his wife, hey, don't remark to this. Don't say anything. This will blow over in 4 months. And you know what? He's absolutely correct. If Akaash had kept quiet about this, not said anything about putting a in his place, any of that stuff, and just left it alone, then I would have nothing to say. In fact, right now, the only criticism I have is maybe you should have had a little bit more experience with women before you decided to get married. But if that's your own personal religious belief or cultural belief, I am not here to judge you for that. But there are prices to be paid. Just like having a diet with high cholesterol can cause heart disease. Having a diet with low amounts of protein can cause you to have skinny arms. Having a diet with low vitamin C, you can catch scurvy. You can have cultural things that you do, diets that you eat that have consequences. You can also choose to date or not date certain type of women, and that also has consequences. In part because when that whole idea, and I'm not saying this may be an Indian tradition, I don't really know. He has mentioned before about that. There's not that many famous Indian people. But if it was an Indian traditional thing that was the reason why he chose to not have sex before he's married, he was a virgin at 31, that's totally fine. But that custom was developed not in modernity. That custom was developed historically for a different time when women were not exposed to as much social media and dating apps as his current wife currently is. So he isn't wrong per se from a moral standpoint, but from a strategic standpoint or from a rationality standpoint, getting married as a virgin, as a man, it's not impossible. And I'm not telling you not to do it, but it is difficult. And in fact, it's way more difficult for you to do that now than it would be in 1950.
Another thing, and this is the last thing I'll get into before I sign off, is that everything being said is generally true. Yeah, it's true. And it should be taken into consideration. But again, the bottom line, even back in the day, even in the 1950s, or even when arranged marriages was a thing with Indians or with anybody, the bottom line is whether it's 2025 or 1825 or 1725 or beyond, the bottom line is family and outside. So just because there's social media or the telephone or mail, snail mail, via horse, via train, via carrier pigeon, email, cell phones, pagers, social media, all of that is irrelevant if you as a man understand that, wait a minute, is she outside or is she not? Is she with family? Is she with family fundamentally? So even during social media, even if she works remotely or she works on social media, if it's in a non-sexual capacity where she's a part of the family channel, or if the family has a business, and if the family manages that channel, so she's not susceptible to DMs, to random DMs from random guys, it has no effect on her if family's involved. That's the key. If family isn't involved, then you shouldn't be taking any chick seriously. You can engage with chicks. You can satisfy your natural curiosity with women. All of that is okay. In fact, if you're religious and if you have a condition as it pertains to engaging in sexual relations with women outside of marriage, and if you're green in that department, if you're green in the physical department with women, because a man can't be a virgin that's a made up thing. A man can't be a virgin, but he can be green and he can be inexperienced physically with women. So if you want to engage with women before marriage, there's no pressure, there's no rule that says that you must go all the way. There's no rule that says that you have to have intercourse, have sex with her, have oral sex with her, have any sex with her, or even make out. Or maybe your religion allows you to make out or to grab on some tetas, grab on some culo, grab on some ass, grab on some titties, whatever it is. You can stop at any phase, at any stage. You can stop. So before she enters your apartment, before she enters your home, your space, or maybe she's in your space, you're on the couch with her, etc., and you can politely ask her to leave before anything happens. So guys just have to understand all their options out here. Understand your options and always understand that it's a game of families. It's a game of fathers when it comes to marriage, when it comes to a legitimate marriage. Most people, most guys are in illegitimate marriages out here. And that's the big dark secret that nobody wants to admit to, is that most marriages out here, most relationships out here are fickle, are on shaky ground because it's outside chicks. Outside chicks, the highest position they can be is a side chick. That's it. And once you go past side chick, you're in trouble. She lives with you, you're married, you have kids with her, you're in trouble. And if you want the trifecta, if you want the gold star and to be a champion, you should not be dating or paying. You need to engage with women and hold the line, burn the boats, and not pay, not date. And you can still attempt to try to get her home with you or try to get into some shenanigans with her physically, sure, and make a game out of it, but nothing more. So let me leave you with that. I might do another part of this, but for now, I think we're in a good place and I covered most of what I needed to with this. I'll take another scrub through and see if there's anything worth commenting on. But again, I'll leave the URL in the description so you can check it out. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, and really comment, because I'm going to start going through the comments and seeing what's going on. As soon as I get some, I don't even think I have any. So don't forget to comment and subscribe, hit the notification bell, give a like, and I will check you out next time.